Welcome back to the Nullified Take channel on YouTube, where Kahuna and I have got the TNT takes for you on the Challenge 39, episode 8. That is right, we're back. I'm your host, Chris. Kahuna, it's been a while since the last time we spoke, a whole 2 nights. How have you been?
Man, I'm doing good, but one of the problems that we have doing the live, it's 10 a.m. But in Australia, in December, it's 10 a.m. and currently like 40 degrees.
It is stinking hot.
It is a hot one today. And I was trying to think of a cool segue I could get that I'm feeling hot like, I don't know, Horatio and Nerys, or hot like Melissa throwing drinks or something.
Is it Nelly? Who is the guy who used to sing It's Getting Hot in Here? It's kind of like that.
Nelly.
Right?
Nelly. It is. Yeah.
It's Nelly. Yeah. I almost said Nelly. I almost said Nelly T. So 40 degrees for those that are over in the US would be 104 Fahrenheit, to give you an idea of the heat that Kahuna is struggling with. It was very hot last night over here in Melbourne as well. Like, we had like 32 degrees in the middle of the night, which is about 90 degrees Fahrenheit as well. So had a tough time trying to sleep through that. And then waking up this morning, it's raining and it's like half that. So it's like typical Melbourne weather. Melbourne can go from one extreme to the other extreme the next morning. So
4 seasons
I've got the opposite. All right, let's say hello to everybody here in the live. Danica saying sorry to miss out tonight. I'm at St. Augustine checking out the Night of Lights. Dolores, you should go. They're so good. Yeah, Danica, well, that's fine. You're here all the time. I know you'll catch up at some stage, so that's fine. Super ticked off at Amazon Prime for putting up the exit interviews first, so I knew who was out before the episode started. Not cool. I didn't even know Amazon Prime had the challenge on it. Probably in the States, not in Australia, as I'm aware, because they block things depending on where you are.
We always try to find it too. We don't know.
Yeah, we're always like,
is it on this service? Is it on this service? No, we don't get it.
Yeah, a big reason we're doing the live right now is because things worked out in a way where Jake couldn't do the Survivor podcast this weekend. We normally do the slot for Survivor, and we didn't have the challenge episode ready to record because it was delayed in the normal channels that we get it from. So, but we got there in the end, which is great. Chris, welcome back to the live. Lena, welcome back to the live. Lena also not aware that Amazon Prime had the exit interviews. And then Kiwi Skirt with a pink hand wave emoji. Hello, Kiwi Skirt. Always good to have you here. And then Chris saying, thank you for the conversion, because I heard 40 degrees and said that is cold, but 104 is insanely hot. Yes. It's very easy to get confused. I still get confused whenever anybody from the States talk about degree or Fahrenheit over on that side. Like, I normally am confused as to, okay, is this hot? Is it not? I have to do the conversion myself as well. It's so interesting how every country has got its own way of doing things. Well, I should actually say the States does things differently.
It's just
the rest of the world. Yeah, I should say they do things differently to the rest of the world. But let's get into the challenge, and let's get started here right from the start with, Emmanuel going back into the house. He's now ticked off. Kylan and Big T, Horacio, they've all made an enemy out of Emmanuel in the game. And it looks like he's going to be one of those guys, Kahuna, coming into this episode that's not necessarily going to tell them to their face that he's pissed off, but he is plotting their demise behind closed doors.
Yeah. I don't know if I like this or not, because I'm kind of really appreciating the attitude from Emmanuel, like the gutsiness, the ballsiness, the self-assuredness, where you can turn your back on a Jordan in like the first time a champ turns up, and now he's saying he's going to get revenge and all that, which I kind of appreciate the the chutzpah, the spirit of him, but I don't see how he's gonna do anything. Like, I know he's in the right alliance, but he's not exactly pulling the strings or running anything there. He's kind of just along for the ride in this gigantic alliance. He's one of many. And the fact that he's targeting anyone, like, I'm like, how are you gonna target them kind of specifically? You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. Chris says here that the US is goofy with some ways we do things. Fahrenheit is definitely better than Celsius. Fahrenheit is how temperature feels to humans. Celsius is how it feels to water. You are not water. Well, 60% of us is water. So, like,
wait a
there's a
minute.
lot of water in us.
Fahrenheit. What does water freeze at?
Zero. Is it zero? I feel like,
That's
no, I
in
don't know in
Celsius.
Fahrenheit, but in Celsius it's
It's
zero,
in
I believe.
Celsius, 0. What does water boil at?
Jeez, I can't remember
100.
that.
100 in Celsius, right? 0 frozen, 100 boiling. Tell me how Fahrenheit makes sense at, like, freezing is like...
You're going to start a war, Kahuna. You're going to start a war with the whole US with your Fahrenheit. And so 32 on Fahrenheit is water freezing.
Yeah, what is that? How are you supposed to... Like, 0 is freezing, 100 is boiling. It makes perfect sense.
But, you know, listen, I hear you on Emmanuel. I hear you in regards to the fact that, you know, he turns his back, he's got this ballsy attitude to him, and then he doesn't necessarily tell the players that he's going to go after them, but it's clearly the better game move. So I actually appreciate the fact that Emmanuel can take his emotions out of it. Unlike a certain other person who got very emotional this episode when they were in the heat, and we'll talk about that. But Emmanuel is at this point able to sit back and let things happen, and then maybe get the target slightly off him by not overreacting, and then waiting for that opportunity to pounce. I think he's going to make a big move in the game. I do see Emmanuel being the person, the editor's telling us he's going to be the person to probably take out a Kylan. We already saw Big T being taken out, and he's also mentioned Horacio quite a bit. It's a shame that we don't get to see Emmanuel and Horacio potentially going up against each other in an elimination. That would be really good. But in the current state with Chaos, the likelihood is that they'll most likely have to go up against the champion if they do get thrown down there.
Yeah, and so far anyway, like, it seems like the champions, except for Kaz, are really kind of... And they're getting eliminations that are almost they definitely are handpicked specifically for the champion. They know who's coming on, and they know what elimination is going to be there. So that's going to make it tough for any of the contenders stepping down into that sand. Not only against a champion, but against a champion with a elimination specifically picked for their strength is always it's a tough hill to climb for them. But I don't know. Like, I'm interested to see. Like, there are some instances like this episode, pole wrestle. I really think it should have just been between two contenders. I don't like a champ coming in as a mercenary to kind of do that. But you're right. It does, as much as we're happy seeing the champions, and Casey got a massive, like...
Oh, yeah. Ovation. We'll talk about it. I think we're jumping slightly ahead. We'll definitely talk about it.
As much as we like seeing them, I do wish we would still be seeing, like, you're right, a Horacio versus Emmanuel in the sand. I don't know if we're going to be able to get that sort of thing in the next phase of play or whatever, but it's missing that element of it for sure.
Yeah, like, listen, I'm a big fan of the champions coming back. I'm actually really enjoying this twist to the season. The only downside is that if there is real beef in the show, you don't get to see people go head to head. They have to get a champion to do their dirty work in the sand, which is definitely the only downside that I can think of in regards to champions coming in at this stage. But I have been enjoying the theme of the season. I did want to talk a little bit about Colleen and Kylan having a bit of a conversation here in the early stages. And she mentioned she's also now studying, I believe, to become a therapist, so she can understand her own behaviors and why she goes after bad boys instead of the good guys. You know, obviously she went after Fessy, the biggest of bad boys in her original season when she was on the show. Very, very interesting conversation. And all I could think about, Kahuna, throughout this conversation was that it's not been a good year in reality TV for therapists or psychologists. You know, will she go down in flames with the rest of the therapists and psychologists that have played Survivor, that have played the Traders and so forth? Because I kind of feel like she's been the frog in boiling water for a while, but she just hasn't realized that she really has no one at this stage that is going to go to bat for her.
The therapist not realizing, like, how people are thinking and that sort of thing. Like, I worked at a bank for 10 years. I'm really bad with money. Like, is that
It doesn't necessarily
kind of
make
what
you
it's
good with money. Yeah.
so the therapists have all the advice, but obviously kind of like, maybe that's why she's saying, I want to
Mm,
become a therapist so I understand my own my own issues. But like going after bad boys was such a funny thing to say.
mm.
um yeah, like therapists are not having a good run this year, that's for sure, as far as looking and holding up the optics of what a therapist would say and do, as far as looking
Mm.
smart.
100%. Kiwiska is saying they should be sending the strong players and to get rid of them. Yes.
Yes.
And I think going into this next bit or somewhere in the conversation, so I don't know if it's this next bit specifically, but that's kind of what Jay was sort of angling at this whole episode by wanting to go after Melissa when people were thinking about going after Big T. Not saying that Big T isn't strong. Like, I think actually Big T has done a really good job this season, but we'll talk about her full arc later on. But I think that what he's looking at is if Big T was to go into a final and run against us, would she be able to have the endurance to compete against us? Or Melissa seems to be a lot more physically fit. She's run a couple of finals before. She's probably a big threat. So I feel like in some ways they have been going after someone that is extremely strong. I can't remember who else in this current cast have actually seen a final outside of Melissa with the women. So I feel like he's taking a shot at the appropriate person at this stage.
Olivia
Olivia. Oh,
Olivia
right. Yeah,
was,
Olivia.
I think that's
Probably
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in some ways, they are definitely doing that. Kiwi's good saying, problem is the strongest people are running things at the moment, so they're stupid, getting rid of the least competition, and it'll come back to bite them. 100%.
There's also
There's definitely...
there's like 13 people in their alliance. So when you go, oh, is it Melissa or Big T? Well, you're picking from two people that aren't like only two possibilities. Like even Colleen being a straggler on the edges, on the fringe, is still kind of voting with the US alliance, and it's
Yeah,
like,
she feels like she's a part of them.
yeah,
Because...
I'm like, it's the world's biggest alliance ever, and it's
Mm,
like, should we pick Melissa? Well, as of next week, or like after Melissa goes, or whoever you're targeting, then you've run out of options. Like, and Jay's suggestion of picking someone good is absolutely the right thing, except that all the people that should be targeting are all working together. So it's like, what do we
mm.
do?
Oh, big Willy boy in the live. Willie saying, hey guys, the episode for me, I didn't like it. The only thing I liked from the episode was Kyle being called and brought in for entertainment this episode. Then some people on the challenge. I do agree, man. I was loving me some Kyle time. Like the episode as a whole, like I feel like we just went through the motions this episode. Like, it's like we went through the motions of each thing that needed to happen. There's a specific person that probably the nicest guy outside of the game, but this whole season I'm just like, who are you? What are you talking about? And that's a Asaf, like, pointing to his muscle, saying like, oh, this is 5 bananas a day. So clearly now we know why Bananas didn't show up for this season, because he was afraid he was going to get consumed by Asaf during the day to help
I like
feed
the
his muscles.
professional at romance.
Professional. Like, he comes across... Am I the only person who thinks he comes across as really cringy at times? Like he's a tryhard in the confessionals?
Yeah, he's massive. It's so bad.
He's probably the nicest guy outside of the game. So I'm not going after his person outside of the game, but I feel like he came into the season and he's just trying so hard to be entertaining that it's actually cringy to me. It, like, doesn't come across as... I don't feel like I don't feel like that is his actual personality that he is portraying on the show. Like, I think his personality is probably a lot more laid back, and he's like, I need to do this if I want to get the call back next season, basically.
Yeah, he's like, I went out on the first challenge, first episode, and all I had was a little bit of a flip thing with Nani. I need something on this season. I need to get in there.
Yeah. But let's talk a little bit about the Kyle call. Did you enjoy that? Did you love seeing Big T phone her loved one, Kyle, back in the UK and having a little bit of that banter? Because it felt like he really boosted her a little bit as well,
I mean, Kyle's great. I love Kyle, and I miss him on our screens, but I didn't realize, like, I never knew they were that close, that he would be a call from home kind of thing.
Oh, they were
like
always close in previous seasons.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how close they were outside of the game, but in the seasons, they were always in each other's sort of alliance or working together to a degree. Kyle works with people to the best of his ability, and then sometimes he's got to move.
What is crazy about it is that they were close because he was on the last season that she did, right? And she said she was retiring and took time off, and Kyle's been away for a while. But you know when their last season was? was Spies,
Oh,
Lies, and Allies.
yeah, it's going back a while. Yeah.
No, it was only, but it
Oh, is it?
because of
It's
the
2-3 seasons. Oh, it feels like it's years ago because of
because of the
all the other
timeline
seasons.
of it feels like so
Yeah.
long ago, but and it technically was 2 years. It was 2021 since we
Right.
seen Carl, but it
I
was
thought it
only
was
2
5 years.
seasons ago.
I
It
thought it
was,
was 5 years.
it feels like so long. There's so much challenge. But
Yeah.
like Big T's retirement, because she was focusing on the culinary career, was 1 season. It was only like Ryder dies, and then she came back. But because there's so much gap in other seasons and world championships and blah blah blah, we have only had 2 flagship seasons in 2 years, which is crazy to think. But
that is insane to think, and a lot of it I think does come down to like it's obviously pointing to the fact that they know that their star cast is getting older and that their star cast is getting closer to 50. A lot of them are moving into their 40s. A lot of them are moving close to their 40s. So I 100% believe they did all of these other shows to try and tap into new talent, bring new people into the challenge, make more people aware of the challenge because they are looking at longevity. And I know the fans hated it, but from a business perspective, I can understand why they went down that road. And now with this season, having a lot of newbies coming in, it's gonna take time for people to grow to love some of these new characters. It's not going to happen the first season in because people who watch the challenge love seeing the growth, love seeing people that they've seen over 5 different seasons, 6 different seasons, 15 different seasons. Like that's what makes the challenge unique, is that these people can come back and learn from their mistakes and either repeat it and we all look at them and say, mate, how have you not learned from your previous season? Or they improve and we applaud them for that, you know, because they're getting better as a competitor, maybe learn a little bit about themselves as a human being. They change certain things, and then the best ones are the ones that never learn and continue to be who they are.
The Joshes, how we keep hoping Josh is going to get. I think we got that with Big T this season. I think she's gotten better,
massive,
hugely as a competitor.
Okay, since we're going that way, Kyle, just wanted to bring one more thing up from Kyle before we move on to Big T. Love the fact that when Kyle was there, he's like, tell me who's been gunning after you. Tell me, because she's like, I'm in an alliance of 2 with Melissa, and we're on the outside of the house, and they're both laughing about it. And he's like, tell me who they are. I will make a list of them and come back and eliminate all of them. You know, I love that because maybe that's the fire that Kyle finally needed to move away from retirement. But obviously, he's got crew there that he's looking after. So, you know, he's got some daddy duties that has taken him away from the show. And I hope that we get a point maybe in a year, 2 years time from now where we get to see him again on the show. And he's not the youngest guy either, I feel like. How old is Kyle at the moment? Kyle, the challenge.
It's got to be 30s.
I'm going to see if I can see. I feel like, he's got to be in his 30s. He's 31, actually. That's younger than what I thought.
Yeah.
He's got another 10 years in him, easy.
I do like that he said, like, he dropped that little teaser in there for him coming back. And Kyle never, like, in air quotes, retired. He never said, I'm done.
No.
It's just, it's been circumstantial,
taking a break,
right? It's he had a kid, like, and that's kind of what happened. He didn't have to. I kind of appreciate that about Kyle. Like, some of these guys will just announce and say, like, I'm done, I'm retired, and make it a big deal. And then, you know, 6 months later, they're back on for whatever reason. But yeah, I like that the people that are like, no, I haven't been on, but I've not closed the door. I just haven't been on, and I'll come back, you know.
I love this. Kiwi Skirt saying, love how Big T said his baby looks like him, but even Kyle doesn't look like Kyle anymore. He's not the pirate that we used to when he first came onto the show. Lena saying, do you think his best friend Jay encouraged him to do so? And I think that is for obviously the
being so weird.
Yeah, probably. Maybe. I mean, obviously he's friends with Jay. I feel like Jay would have the biggest influence on him. And then Kiwi Skirt says the best of his ability until he can't be bothered doing what the Alliance wants. What I like about Kyle is that he is one of those people that will sometimes go against the grain and just do something random and take a chance. Like, I do really enjoy that. Angel Cake, welcome to the live stream. Royalty here in the live stream. For those who don't know, Angel Cake Entertainment is the biggest channel on YouTube, I believe, that are currently covering the challenge and also sometimes does exit interviews. I don't know if it's publicly available. It may be only to his Patreons, which is well worth it. I'm a part of the Patreon team myself, the bakery. I know Kahuna is part of the bakery. Kyle had a big... Kyle had a kid, moved to Florida, and got into real estate. Got into real estate. Makes sense why people think he may not come back or that he is retired. I did not know that he is into real estate, but if there's ever a person who has the personality to sell real estate, it's Kyle.
He's
I can see that. Yeah, look at that. We've got, definitely say hello to Drew in the chat. Bad Baby says, "Well, first time I made it to the live, I'm ready to talk some shit. Get on it. Like, I want to hear this shit. I love it. Like, Kahuna loves himself some trash talk. So, get it across." Yes, say hello to Drew, everybody. Angel Cake saying, "Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is having a great day, evening, or night." We are. It's the start of our day on this side, but it has been a great start to this live. Now, Kahuna, you wanted to talk a little bit about Big T. You wanted to talk a little bit about the growth that we've seen. Obviously a big episode for Big T here. She had the conversation with Kyle, gets her motivated to go. She's beaten 2 people in the arena. I believe one was a champion, if my memory is correct here in this season. So she's done a really, really good job. And sort of, I feel like we spoke about this a couple of episodes ago. Like, it's almost like Big T has gotten to that point now where she's been on the bottom for so long, and people have always treated her, and to a certain degree, almost like an extra. Like, she's not a main character or supporting character on these seasons. She's just like a tree on a play. Like, she's an extra. That she's gotten to that point where it doesn't phase her anymore being under the pressure or being thrown into arena. Like, she used to be scared of going down. She's not anymore. She just goes in and she embraces it. And she had a really admirable performance in this episode against Casey, who is not, like, you can say what you want about Casey. A lot of people will say she's a tree or she's furniture when it comes to entertainment, right? But as a competitor, there's no doubt that Casey is one of the best competitors that we've seen in the last couple of seasons. You wouldn't want to go up against her. Like Olivia said, even the men are scared. Like, I mean, Ed would have had no chance in a pole wrestle against Casey there today. So, Olivia calling it as it is. But going back to Big T, what's your thoughts on Big T and where she's grown as a competitor, as a human being coming back into the season?
I love Big T. I like, from the time when, CT took her under his wing, and she was always a huge player as far as personality goes. She had something that obviously wanted them to bring her back all the time, but her competitive play didn't really match up. And this season, I don't know, like, maybe this is a bad thing. Maybe it says that the competition is lower and she can compete a bit better, or she's improved. And I think, like, when you look at her, like,
her physique's improved.
Yeah, she's a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger.
She's got bigger arms than me, man. Like, I wouldn't want to take on. Like, I'm one of those guys. I'm with Ed. I'm scared as well. No, but she is actually really big. Like, she's getting.
Well, I'm a fan of thick Big T. I like thick Big T. But it's allowed her, and potentially, maybe, like, I don't know if this is going down the wrong path, but the challenges that she did win, it really seemed like strength and body weight was she had a pretty good ratio there, and maybe she becomes an elimination beast in the challenges, like an Anissa style. Anissa's very good at eliminations. Maybe not the endurance.
I think she can. I think she can surpass. I think I'm going to make a big call here. I think she can surpass Anissa if she keeps training. If she keeps putting in the work like she has been doing since she's had her time away from the show. I mean, did TJ ever say to Anissa, "You're going to be a champion one day," or "I want to see you be a champion one day"? Like, has he ever said that to anyone else?
Huge. That was massive. I was like, wow. Like, I'm usually just waiting. Like,
he's the host. Is he supposed to be saying that?
Yeah. Like, sometimes when they're like, "I know we'll see you again. I hope we see you again." Like, but to say, "I hope you're a champion one day," is like a massive endorsement. We've never seen that before. I thought that was really cool. And I was like, yeah, I hope so too, man.
So I was like, TJ, listen, mate, I might need to give you like a couple of dollars under the table and bribe you to, just get a full UK cast in, or make the numbers equal in regards to Big T's allies versus the US alliance that normally forms that takes her out. Because there is no way Big T is ever winning a season on a normal casting for the Challenge main show, because she'll always be the person from the UK. Because she's in the UK, geographically, she doesn't have the ability to hang out with people at parties or just have those, off-season conversations with people that I think puts her in a really bad position coming into any of these seasons socially. So she'll have to win her way to the end. She'll have to do a Chris Underwood. And there's a lot of work for her to do to physically get to that position in the game, I feel like. So, Big T, I hope, CT looks out for Big T in future castings, is what I'm saying. I hope she gives him some euros. How many euros was it? 18 euros or something?
I don't think it helps Big T that her bestie, like best friend, is like is also UK and will also put people off and will also fight and like get into arguments, and she's just always automatically going to be on the outside that way.
Mm.
But yeah, the Euro thing, the bribe thing was so great. Like
That's
I
how you
love
know
that.
production loves it, because I'm sure it's against the rules, but they let it slide.
Apparently, she took that from Horacio's bag. It was
Oh, really?
Horacio's money. She grabbed Horacio's money, then tried to bribe other people for the votes, which is
That's
so
amazing.
great. Like
And Ed playing into it was amazing as well. She completely did
so
it.
funny. That is the type of thing that producers would look for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like she completely did it to the right person, because Ed is the one person that would play into it like he did. And the whole scene with her sort of sneaking up on him being like, what the hell? It was amazing. Let's read a couple of comments here. Chris says Big T brought personality and fun to the season and the show as a whole. This season is worse without her. I do agree. Kiwi says Big T is always great entertainment. Yes, Chris, I will miss her a lot. Lena saying there is a rumor that pole wrestle wasn't planned for this elimination. The weather made it too dangerous to set up the one originally planned. Bummer for Big T. Yeah, that's a shame. That is a
Pole in
shame.
a storm. I thought they named it that just because it rained.
Yeah,
Pole in a storm instead of pole wrestle.
Willie says, I will miss Big T. So entertaining and getting better. Kiwi is saying, I liked what TJ said to her at the end. I want to see her in a final for sure. Chris is saying, TJ knows a queen when he sees one. Totally agree with that. Sudani speaks back in the live. Welcome back, Sudani. I believe it's been a while since I've seen you here. She says, hey, Chris and Kahuna, glad to have made the live today. It's great to have you here. Bad Baby D is saying Big T is light years ahead of Anissa. I agree with you. I enjoy Big T more as a competitor than Anissa, but I know some people back in the day, and also I don't want to take away from the fact that Anissa's had many years on the show. She's built a bit of a legacy for herself. Like, I'm not taking away from that. Everybody has got their own favorites. I prefer Big T over Anissa as well. I didn't like some of the Anissa drama and the continued Anissa drama that's happening right now. It's not for me, but some people love that. They're really into it.
I love Anissa, but I just meant more like in eliminations that their specialty is like Anissa's good at power type challenges, strength.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
And I think Big D can kind of fill that role a little bit, that her strength will be her strength.
Yeah. Do you reckon Big T would follow her strategy of running a final, getting half a mile into a run and then saying, oh, my ankles or something. Yeah, I've hit my ankle or something. Do you think she'd pull that strategy for the stamina thing if she doesn't have it?
I'm hoping she's seen that it's not a good strategy.
It doesn't work, especially if your partner
yelled at by your partner.
Angel Cake says, I feel like Big T had so much more confidence this season than any other season. We both agree. I think that Big T, she's just going from strength to strength. Shame she came into a season with people who are whack. Yeah, totally agree. Kiwi says, totally. There's a lot of people agreeing. Bad Baby says, but she'll never win. She offers so much to the show. It's fine. She'll never win unless the cast is all layups. I do think that Big T, I feel like Big T from a couple of seasons ago didn't want to do any training. Only wanted to go there, have fun, do the party stuff. Maybe have what was it that she used to eat? Her diet consisted of cake and stuff like that in between. Yeah. I didn't see her eating any cake this season. I saw her trying to lock in and actually be a competitor. So she can go down that road and realize that there's some good money to be made. Then maybe there's a chance. But even if she just comes back as a personality, totally fine with that. She does spice up.
Circumstantially, she could. If she gets to a final and they do the thing where sometimes the partners, they either choose or they rotate partners, and if she gets the right partner for the right challenge, and
if she gets the KC final, she comes last maybe in the first parts of sections of the final, and then the first person, she gets paired up with whoever's, maybe Jordan's on that season. Yeah, Jordan's at the start. Yes, Big T is the person who's performed the worst in the first day. So because of that, automatically they just line the best and the worst up, and then that means Big T gets a win that way. It could be a Casey case, Shots fired at Casey. I still love Casey. I feel like when you look at Casey, and I say I love Casey because I know people are going to come for me on that one. I've grown on Casey because let's talk about Casey's reception on this specific season. Has there been a bigger reception for anyone this season than Casey running out there? I know people are going to hate this. And what does it tell you about Casey outside of the game?
Exactly. That's my point, is that everyone says Casey is boring, Casey's,
she is.
Casey's whatever, but look at the relationships that this woman has. Look at the 100%. Reception that she has from socially, this is from people that have interacted with her, and many of them not much, right? Like Big T and Melissa were like one season a couple years ago kind of thing. Like they were like, oh, she was in the last season I was on, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they lose their mind. Like this says a lot about the type of person Casey is. And I think you've said this before many times. She's probably great in real life. She'd be an awesome friend. She'd be so nice, so lovely. It just doesn't
And
translate
loyal.
to
I think
TV.
she's a very loyal person as
Loyal,
well.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But being in a champ mercenary role where she doesn't have to do confessionals and carry TV show and do all the fun stuff. She just has to come in for kick some ass, get a bit of a hype up and then leave. Perfect for Casey, because that's what she's good at.
Yeah, I think, again, when we talk about Casey, right, like the biggest thing with Casey is in a lot of the seasons that she's played, she's not been challenged because she's been insulated well. She's had a great strategy. She's dominated strategically in most of her seasons. She's definitely one of the best at getting to a final, right? But because she's very rarely been under pressure with people gunning for her, we haven't seen the spicy side of a Casey come out. And she's been able to be very much low-key, under the radar. She doesn't really go and make drama. That's not her personality type. So the only time we really started seeing a bit of that spiciness that Casey does have was on the World Championship season when she did get shots fired at her and
Troy,
Ben.
yeah.
And then with Troy as well, like both of them. She went into quite a few eliminations, and we saw a different Casey that season. We both said she can be fun, and also just having her split up with Nani, because I think most of her time, if she's playing with Nani, she just wants to spend time with Nani. She doesn't want to get involved in anything else. So again, I think that when you look at a season like this, where people are reacting to Casey coming on like they did, and everybody's like, she's my favorite person, I love her, Big T and her, like clearly she's amazing at building relationships. Clearly she's good at the one-on-one stuff. It just doesn't translate necessarily to the show, and it doesn't necessarily show that she's this entertaining character on the show. But two different things completely. But it was really, really interesting to see that. Let's go back and read a couple more comments here. A lot of people still saying she had a lot of confidence, and that's on Big T. Kiwi says she did it to everyone, but they only showed us Ed. Should have shown more. I think because Ed would have been the one who reacted to it the best, probably had the best reaction, yes. So they showed him more than anyone else because the others probably didn't play along. Can you imagine like Mariah?
Mariah. I plead the fifth approach. I kind of like that she's like not going to say anything.
Yeah, nope. she did. She made the right decision there. Maybe we'll talk about it in a little bit. Let me just read some more comments here. Kiwi says maybe Ed was the only one that played into it. 100%. That's so funny, Subeka. Chris says she was eating a donut, inappropriate breakfast food, not cake. Go easy on my girl. Donut, cake, tomato. Same thing.
It's cake in circular form.
Yeah. Bad Baby D says that's true. She could finesse her way. Lena said she is also a very strong swimmer. If there are lots of water-based comps, she has a chance. Chris says, I wish we saw what the competitors see, what makes Casey so lovable, because to me, I just see her doing nothing. And I think that's where it comes down to it, right? You only see an hour episode at a time, and you see snippets of what the production team deems to be entertaining enough to show. And in Casey's part, like I don't think she's a natural entertainer. But it doesn't mean, like, I know a lot of people in life, don't think they should be on a TV show because I don't think they would be very entertaining, but they're probably some of the most loyal and nicest friends that I've got. Like one-on-one, they're good with me. But can they turn it up for entertainment? No. They don't have that Asaf quality in them that just brings that sparkle to the screen in the confessionals, Kahuna.
He's a professional romance, man.
Professional romance. Lena says, many say she is very kind in the house. Willie says, the thing with Casey, with me, is that she is good competitor, but she is overrated. She has made finals. In one final, she got carried by Troy, and she sucks at puzzles and endurance. I think that her endurance isn't like the worst. It's like, am I forgetting something here? Like maybe...
She gassed out once,
yes,
I think.
she did.
It looked bad, but I think
even the final she won, kind of. Yeah. The final she won, she was really... that's always going to be an asterisk next to her name, in my opinion, because of the way that final ended. But she's a champ. No one can take it away from her. It's like we said with Chris Underwood. Who cares how you won Survivor? You won it. So the fans' opinion should matter less. Bad Baby says she was furniture and it wasn't her back until World Championship. She showed her personality and became someone I could root for when she faced someone. Exactly. This is what I'm trying to say, Bad Baby. We're in line. We've got that synergy going in between us right now because, we just need her without her allies, and we need her, and she'll make new allies, but she'll be under pressure. I want to see her under pressure. When she's under pressure, I do think that fighting spirit does come out a little bit in the confessionals. We saw it on World Championship, right, Kuna?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things with the challenge, though, one of the it's baked into the recipe, is that because of the elimination, and you can always come back, someone like a Casey, someone like a Tory, they always have this innate intimidation factor. Like their stats are buffed on well, if we send her down, one of the reasons why she's so insulated is not just her social game. It's because, well, if we send her down, she's coming back. And then you have to deal with the repercussions, the consequences of that. So there's always that added level of complexity in a game like the challenge, and it plays into the hands of someone like Casey that can, really have that status that if I go down, I'm probably going to come back. So don't put me down. And yes, it's social, but it's also based off of her resume, based off what she can do in the sand as well. So that's always something I think that people don't think about. Like, just throw them in, just throw them in, just throw them in. But they're coming back. Like, you know what I mean? Like if we put a Jordan down, he's coming back. Like, what do we do? So.
You put them on. You put Jordan up against CT. You put him up against Bananas. You put him up against the best. You got to put two people in there that are hopefully one of them's going home and only one of them's surviving. But you got to take a shot at some stage.
And then those people, the KCs, also have a very good chance of winning the next daily. They're always in that sort of potential threat to win a daily. They put you in. They take that revenge. You put them in the sand, they come out. Like when you're good at the challenges, when you're good at the eliminations, it adds this level where the politics almost gets negated somewhat just by your physical ability.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this season plays out because it feels like Emmanuel has got a little bit of that revenge on his mind at the moment. So, he could be one of those ones where they took a shot at him. He comes back and he takes a few people out along the way. Elise says that's why Casey is so boring on the challenge. She has a really good social game and she never has to worry. Also, the only time she played the game was World Championship because all her friends weren't there. Totally agree. Lena says she and Tori are fortunate to get comms that appeal to their strength. Definitely this one appealed to the strength of Casey, but like some people said, it may have been a different one. We're not sure what she would have done in that case. Bad Baby is saying, and that was the turning point for Casey's storyline, talking about World Championship. Angel Cake saying, this challenge season reminds me of American Gladiators, at least in the eliminations. It's been a very long time since I've watched American Gladiators. But I can kind of see it with because South Africa actually had gladiators growing up as well. I could kind of see it even with on some of the daily challenges where there might be some inspiration taken from gladiators with them having to jump from one pyramid to the next pyramid and being up on the air and things like that. There's a lot of that sort of happening as well. What we really need to see is them going up with two of those, when you hit each other, like with the two, it's like cushions and they have to knock each other off. I want to
joust. I think it's joust.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of the challenge.
See CT on that. CT, goes down into the arena, gets a champion's choice, chooses Jay, him and Jay up there. Like, I feel like it would just be, it's meant to be. It's written in the stars that is what we need to see this season.
You dropped that last week, that perhaps a CT and Jay elimination might be a thing again, so he can get that. And this week, I don't know, because you planted in my head, I was watching this episode and I was like, I wonder if Chris is right here. Because I don't know if you know this or not, Chris. If we talk about the daily challenge, and I'm stuffing up your format, I'm sorry. But if we talk about the daily challenge, I'm not sure if people are aware of this, but Jay beat CT once.
Yeah. No, I would never have known it watching the daily challenge. And we're going to talk about the daily challenge next. I'm so glad that Jay brought it up 5 times in the daily challenge. And also told us how all of the rest of the cast would not have beaten CT. None of them are good enough because of their strategy.
Yeah, he mentioned it so much. I was like, okay, Jay, we got it, bro. We got it.
A production probably also we need to keep putting this out there. It would be so poetic with him bringing it up so often if he does end up going up against CT in the elimination and CT gets that revenge. It would just be poetic for him to be able to do it. Like, what did Carlin say? It's the confidence comes before the fall, when it
Yeah.
comes to these kind of things. But what did you think of the daily challenge, Tower of Power? Did you enjoy this one?
I did a lot. Like on a couple of fronts. I think I do think the idea is maybe better than the execution that we got. But when like TJ was explaining it, that there's these two towers and you basically have to set up a fort in front of, like we've seen Not So Fast before. We've seen the one with Jay and CT, but to have it as a group challenge on a massive like tower with multiple layers of gates and fences in between, I was like, this is cool. I think it had the potential to be really, really dope, but I think the way it kind of played out was a little bit funny. I don't think either of them really nailed it. Even Jay with his CT beating expertise.
Yeah.
The tug of war, that was interesting too. Like I thought maybe they'd just give them two separate piles, but the fact that they had to
And
fight
Jay's
over
team
it.
got all four. Apparently there were four sets of chains out there, and they got all four of them. The other team got none of it. So I mean, how much do you suck at strategizing if you didn't even get like at least one or two of the chains? They didn't get anything.
It also negates a little bit of what Jay was saying, because clearly the other team knew the benefit and the strength of getting the chains over ropes. They didn't need the expert of Jay, the expertise of Jay to let them know the chains are important. So again, like, what are you talking about? Everyone knew the chains are good, get the chains. And then like at the end of it as well, this is what was weird. They got all four chains. Kylan looked like he took about 45 minutes to make one knot. He was like
first
taking
knot, yeah.
forever. And it felt so weird.
That's his ADHD. I feel like he's got,
yeah.
That's kicking in where he's just like, I've got to get this thing perfect. Like I can't move on from it. And I feel like it's very hard, like especially because he put himself in that team leader, team captain role, for someone to go and say, get out of it, let's move on, we need to strategize about the next thing. I think it'd be hard to do because, how do you talk to someone when they get into their own head like he did? The one admirable thing he did say at the end was that if it was going to be a guy's elimination, he would volunteer himself because he absolutely stuffed it up, which he probably did to a big degree there in this episode. But TJ sort of trying to say, well, you don't know which one it's going to be. You don't know if it's going to be a guy's day or a girl's day. And I'm like, TJ, come on, mate. Like, know it's going to be a girl's day next.
It's easy to say that when you know it's a girl's day, isn't it?
Yeah. Like he was trying, like, hey, man, I'll take doing his best. He was doing his best to try and throw some confusion out there. But I feel like at this stage, with there being more girls in the house than the guys, it was always going to be a girl's day. It was, we had Big T come back. So that means that they're behind on eliminating girls at this stage in the game, unless they just don't care about that moving forward. But I never believe the threat, because TJ always does that. He like always like puts these false fake outs out there, and I feel like at some point he's going to have. At some point he needs to follow through. Just so people are.
When every fake out's a fake out, then none of them's a fake out.
100%. Yeah.
I did think it was funny though. It was weird because do you think it was editing, or was it as close as it actually seemed at the end? Because Jay's team had all four chains. They seemed to be doing better on the knots. He had the prior experience. Kylan had the stumble or the stall on the knot. Even when they were like going through and attacking it, they were like, yeah, the ropes, did you even do this? It feels like it's nothing. It's like the shoelaces analogy.
Yeah,
and then but when they finally get there, Kylan's team was like one chain away from getting in. Like they're at the final door as well. It's not like it was a complete domination. So was the chains not as good as they think? Or is and Jay's prior experience doesn't matter that much, or is Kylan that good at taking off the knots? Like he took one to the face and he still like got really fast as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was going to say what a scene with Kylan nearly having a Theo accident happen to him out there. Like it would have been devastating if he ended up ended up losing an eye out there. So again, it shows you how quickly, when you're in the heat of battle and you're trying to do a daily, how quickly things can go horribly wrong in these challenges because the adrenaline's pumping, you're not thinking, and you're just slinging. He nearly lost an eye. But
again, how dangerous these challenges can be on the show. They just don't have the same safety protocols.
I still cringe. I still cringe when I think about the one where they had to go up the rope to the platform, and one of the biggest guys fell down and nearly missed half of the cast. And I was just like, that could have been so devastating. Like some of these things, they're living close to the edge with some of these challenges. But in any case, Yeah, I think that it was closer than what we thought. I do think that the change made a difference. And it was that narrow difference in getting to the top, but both teams were competitive. And I agree with you. Jay's team definitely overhyped how far behind the other team was throughout the challenge.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a bit closer than that. But I agree with Chris here as well, saying that this daily seemed to be fun to participate in, but at times it sort of dragged to watch a little bit. And I think it was because we kept seeing the same thing over and over about Jay talking about his win, Jay talking about how bad the other team is,
Multiple times.
multiple times. Yeah. Bad Baby says the kind of thing was kind of hard to watch. Totally agree with you. Chris says it wasn't that close. Then production must have told the losing team to keep going and get up the tower while the other team just stood there.
Yeah.
That is so funny to me. Yeah. Elise says TJ was probably told not to say if it's a guys or girls elimination to make sure everyone competes and doesn't. Yeah, I think that's what he's trying to do. My point is, and I like that. My point just is that at some point you need to actually you need to follow through with the threat and be like, guess what, everyone, it's another guys elimination, and this is why you should always be careful of what could happen down on a team elimination day, So I just feel like because of the fake outs not happening, that's and it's on. And I agree. TJ to me comes across as a guy who gets his script beforehand, reads it, practices it, and he goes and hits it, right? And he does a really good job of what he does. But I definitely feel like production is the one that pulls a lot of the format strings behind the scenes. Like TJ is more of your classic host.
Yeah, there's been a lot of time. Even this episode, there was a really, really bad instance of ADR. ADR is when they do the voiceover recording after the fact. I'm like, oh, he didn't say that at the time on the moment. They got him to record it up.
They got ChatGPT to quickly do a voice.
And it's usually just for like the rules or whatever. But yeah, that happens to TJ a lot. TJ has to use ADR quite often. And I don't know if it's because he forgot a line or they want to add something.
I still like TJ so much. Like,
it happens a lot to TJ.
Yeah, like he does a good job. Sudani says, I agree with what's been said. This daily didn't translate well to what should be kept as an elimination. Elise, I wish they would switch it up. That would be funny. Totally agree with that. But we do have a team winning this one here, and they have to make a choice at the end of the day on who, it's Jay's team, on who's going to go down there. And ultimately, there's a couple of people up for grabs. Cory wants to prove himself. He had a bit of an episode of sitting back, not being as involved, not being as front and center as in the previous episode. And he just wants to vote with his alliance. And they do end up deciding between Big T and Melissa, with Jay winning out on the argument that Melissa is a bigger threat. She does end up getting voted in. And Melissa absolutely goes nuclear after this. She wants to know who's the one who put her name out first. She grills Mariah. And Mariah gives her absolutely nothing, which is great to see that Mariah.
So good the way she did it.
She's like, listen, love both of you. I really want to be friends afterwards, but if that's not what you want to do, that's up to you. I can't say. I'm sorry, you're not going to get anything out of me. Even though I love you guys, I can't say anything. And she was just very, very firm on that, which Melissa knew that nothing was going to happen at that point. And then we see the opposite of that happening when they go to the club, with Melissa starting to sprinkle a little bit of extra truth on some of the things that are happening. And she goes to Berna first, who folds like she's never played Survivor before. She was a Survivor player, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. I can't remember what show she's from.
But
I feel like it. But she folded as soon as Melissa came in. And was like, oh, apparently you're the one who threw my name out there first. You're the one who was gunning for me. Immediately, she's like trying to defend herself, throw other people under the bus, and she gets Mariah over. Like, Mariah, can you back me? Mariah's like, I'm not doing that. This is a bad game move for me to be saying this. So it's just funny to see how bad Berna is at the social game. After she gave Horacio some valuable advice on how to be better at his social game in the previous episode.
Yeah, that was great. Like, Berna just completely didn't. I do like Melissa, like, going to everyone going, you were the leader. I was told that you were the one saying it, and just kind of pressuring them is so cool. And Berna's like, no, Mariah, please help. And the fact that one person.
Can I just say the fact that Berna actually believes it and thinks that it is plausible that she could be running this alliance because of her social credit in the game is even more hilarious to me. Like, it just shows even less self-awareness.
Absolutely. It was a great scene. And again, like, we just saw the Mariah doing, not gonna say anything, sorry. And then Berna in her freak out mode happens to call the one person that is just like, I plead the fifth. I'm not saying
Mm.
nothing, but it's still like,
I've not
oh
listened.
no.
Yeah, so
It was
Chris is
good. It
saying
was a
Bernard
fun
is
scene.
from Survivor Turkey with Turbo, which explains a lot because Turbo doesn't have the best social game either. Probably one of the worst social games in the challenge history. Sudani says the Burner moment was wild, a real rookie moment. Mariah explaining what happened was crazy. And then Bad Baby says, oh my God, Burner's reaction to being told Melissa was lying was so funny. Like, why would she lie?
Why?
Yeah. Bad Baby says with Melissa running away, great TV. And then JGS 3mm says Bernard giving Horacio advice on social game. That was hilarious. I agree.
Amazing.
But yeah, so such a great TV moment here. But Melissa's not done. Melissa has not finished eating her dinner. She's gonna go somewhere else. She's gonna eat some more. She's gonna go and get in a confrontation with Raven. And this one was bizarre to me because, Kahuna, both of us know I'm a big Raven fan. Like, I stan Raven. I don't think she's the best necessarily player ever in the game. And she made a mistake early in the season to go in the Alliance and maybe share a little bit more information than what she should have shared. She's still sharing a bit of information now as well, which is not the greatest for her game. But I like Raven because I feel like Raven, to me, as a competitor, she's really a beast. And she's just really stern in her approach. She takes this as a game. She seems like what I would look at as a strong woman. Like, I really enjoy Raven. Like, I think she's great. Helps that she's cute as well, so it makes me even support her a little bit more. But this conversation between Raven and Melissa, she's just standing her ground. She's like, what are you talking about? You're trying to paint a target on me. I never promised you anything. What are you going on about? And then Melissa just throwing the drink in Raven's face. I thought this made, like, I don't mind Melissa and I like the drama that she brings and it's good to have something to talk about on the podcast, but this definitely made Melissa look worse than Raven in this situation. It was not a good look on her. And at one point I thought this was going to blow up. I thought fists were going to fly because we've seen Melissa get DQ'd before. And I was fearful for Raven because Raven almost took the bait.
Yeah, there's one person in the cast has been removed from the show for fighting before, and it's Melissa, and she's in all of it. She's confronting all of them. And you're right, I like Raven as well a lot. I think that Raven, unfortunately for Raven, I think she was disservice by being both seasons with Nerys. I think Nerys kind of outshines her. They had the rivalry last season, and Nerys really just sunk her with some pretty cold one-liners in the reunion and all that sort of thing. So I think she's disadvantaged by that. And then coming into this season with that coming in, and Nerys being such a strong personality in the house, she was at a disadvantage from the get-go as well. But she's trying hard and she is good at the challenge. You're right, she's beautiful, she's a gorgeous woman. Seeing, Big T, Melissa and Raven fighting and drink throwing, I was like, where is this gonna go? I don't mind a fight like this. Throw more liquids at each other. Start pulling hair.
Yeah, get some mud in there, a couple of pillows, like spa pool, like let's go. Chris is saying Melissa was serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner in this episode. We need her. All caps. No cap there, Chris. I totally agree with you. That was definitely very, very fun. I felt bad for Raven though, and I feel like Raven. And I just want to call one thing out. Like, if you're going to go after someone, right? If you're going to be this big badass, why don't you go after someone that actually makes sense or is a big threat in the game? Like, Raven is so on the side. Like, it may look like Melissa was doing something like it. And I know it comes across as me throwing shade at Melissa. And I probably am to a certain degree. It doesn't mean I don't like Melissa and what she brings to the season. But if you're going to throw shots at someone that makes sense or has power in the game. She took the low risk option here. She went for someone that's not attached to anyone else and took a low ball fight. I feel like
if you put a target on someone that isn't as well insulated, maybe if the burner had turned into a fight, Burner could have really buried herself in her social, she was already on the outside a little bit at the start. If she throws a fit here, maybe Melissa's strategizing. Maybe she's Raven's not, she's had her issues in the past. Maybe that's a crack I can manipulate somehow. I don't know. I'm not, maybe that's giving Melissa too much credit, but there's an argument to be made for picking someone who's not completely insulated in a huge alliance.
Buys you one round.
Yeah. Maybe.
Bad Baby saying she's so real for show for how she spoke to Melissa too. Yeah, she was just upfront. Totally agree. Definitely look bad on Melissa in this case. Lena says agree, Chris, but Raven is also a fave of mine. Sudani Speak says, I thought it was odd that everyone comforted Melissa after she threw a drink. Yeah, like why? Like
That's what I mean.
she,
Like, was she angling? I think she was trying. Like, she
yeah.
started the crying. She started getting the
I
sympathy.
think Raven is getting a little bit of that Amber heat this season, where she's a good-looking girl, she's strong. She like I can see Raven if she comes back in future seasons and she can get into the right alliances. She's someone I could see get to a finalist, someone I could see as a threat. So I do think there's this thing where the highest trees catches the most wind, and because she's got a lot of good qualities, people are kind of hating on her a little bit as well this season. So. But yeah, Bad Baby saying so unprovoked. That drink was full of. It was full.
It was a
Elise
full
is
drink.
Melissa throwing a drink on Raven had me fuming. Also, some of these people like to use the term snake, but I don't think they know what the term means. Yeah, it's just a term that's getting thrown out there loosely at this stage. Bad Baby saying, don't get me wrong, I love every second of it. Yeah, it was great to watch, but we all have our opinions, right? Like Kahuna and I said,
thing is so hard as well, because if you cop a drink to the face, there's the initial like shock factor of like, what the hell was that? But also like, what are you supposed to do? Because I would like jump across the table and try to like murder them, right? Like if someone threw a drink in my face, so humiliating, so public on TV in front of all our peers, like I'm putting that guy on the floor. Like, you know what I mean? So
watch out.
You're in a position where it's like, what do I do here? How do I save face while being covered in alcohol that someone just threw at me? Like it's such a
I would have
weird,
probably, you know what I would do?
humiliating
I would probably look them dead in the face after they did it and be like, do you feel better now?
Oh, you
Now that
cold.
it's out of your system, now that this is out of your system, do you feel better? You know,
Are you okay?
and I
Are
feel
you
like
okay
that would
now?
probably like
Is
that
that
would
really
make them look even
condescending?
worse. Yeah, like I feel like it would make it even look worse. But it's like I'm saying that now, but if I was out there, who knows? You know, it may be a little bit. You know, my alter personality, Sparta Chris, might come out. You know, like it might be a completely different story if this happens. Lena says, I agree with Kahuna. That's good. You know, Kuna, you've got some fans here in the live
I think
agreeing
that
with you on
was
some of the takes.
the Melissa maybe angling to
True.
get someone, to
Yeah.
move the heat, I think.
Asia, welcome back to the live, says, I agree, Chris. I love Melissa's Kaz, but she didn't have to do Raven like that. Plus, Melissa always starts crying after she gets aggressive. And that's such a manipulative thing to do as well. You know, she knows she effed up. She's like, oh, but if I put the tears on, if I put the waterworks on, then people will feel bad for me and they'll come and comfort me. She did this before with Cam as well. And then Melissa was wrong, period. Bad Baby says Raven better than me because Melissa would have laid out after that. Yeah, it would have definitely gone down for sure. I would have. Do we think Nerys would have been able to like go? She's been working on her anger management as well.
That. She's not
Do you
controlling
reckon
that.
she would have
A
controlled
drink
it?
to the face? No way. Nerys is like exploding in that. I think Raven did a good job to throw a drink back without throwing fists.
Yeah, it shows a lot of sort of restraint, I feel like, in that situation. Let's talk a little bit about the nominations, because something very interesting happened there as well with Kyland. Kyland coming up, preaching to everybody there, you know, about how sometimes you can't make the scared vote. Sometimes you got to be like the person who goes against the grain to show where your cards are at, you know. And then he proceeds to place a vote with the whole house.
Just the biggest hypocritical move ever.
What's going on there? Like, you know,
to be so preachy about it as well and self-righteous and like, you know, come on guys, you got to play it, and then just completely fold and do the opposite is so weak to do that on TV. It's a weird thing. Like he shouldn't have said anything then. Like, you know, I heard, I think he came out afterwards and said something along the lines of like, I did that vote so that if Big T does go, then maybe Melissa fades into the background. Everywhere. That's what I was going to say as well. Like, one thing this season has given us is amazing deliberations. Like, as far as just burying yourself, it's so crazy. Like
who would have thought?
getting yourself,
Yeah, who
Weird.
would have thought in a normal season the deliberation can be the most boring and predictable part of the show, and this season it is like the one everybody is waiting out for and looking out for. It's like, what's going to happen in deliberation? Who's going to bury themselves?
The
In this
success
round.
of it is crazy. Like the hit rate, like to have Jessica, then Chauncey, then we had the Cory like doing the thing with Melissa and Big T. Like, there's been some really, really bad deliberations there. So yeah, fascinating, fascinating.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I feel like Kylan is very much now on the radar for Team US because he's continued to stick his neck out quite a lot for Melissa this season. Melissa, he chose. It's great for them that they found each other in the game and that they are finding some comfort in each other's company. But for his game, I don't know if he's made the right decisions this season, and it's going to be interesting to see how things are going to play out for him in the next round.
I think I think he's made the right decision.
You
Big
do?
call, but well, the thing is, he's not got an in with this group anyway. He
Yeah.
is on the outside. They're not going to pick him. He is going to always be, even though he's American and US or
So
whatever.
he's angling for X's, is what you're saying. He's angling to get X's going maybe in a future
even
season.
like I don't think he's angling for anything. I think he just likes Melissa because she's Melissa. I would too.
Yeah.
But if you're not going to, if he's not going to get the success on that USA, he's going to be the one that falls as soon as the UK alliance is gone and they've done what they need to do and they start looking at each other.
The editors loved
He
him
will
this
be
season.
the first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
At least he's got a. If you compare Kylan to Ed, he's got a story behind him. Like Ed's the guy they go for one or two funny lines, right?
Yeah.
But there's clearly no character development or building him to become like a champion or something this season. Where Kylan, at least, the camera is following him. We're hearing his story. He's constantly a part of the conversation for good or bad. So in that sense, I think he's definitely coming back in the future. I did want to bring something up before I forget about it. Prior to going into the nomination, there's a bit of a conversation, I believe, between Big T and Melissa, and it may have been Mariah. I can't remember who the third person was, where they talk about, who's going to get nominated to go in. Melissa's obviously already in, and Big T mentions that Cory has already had a conversation with Melissa. He's made peace with Melissa, but he, up until that point, going into the elimination, didn't go around to talk to Big T. Now, I know I've been a big Cory defender this season, and I still think Cory should come back for a future season just because if people feel a certain kind of way about someone, if they don't like him, probably it's going to be, good for that person to come back just so other people can see him either fail or succeed. And the edit does love Cory. Like, we're constantly seeing Cory. So, like, that tells me that he's got some longevity potentially still in the game. He's been consistently featuring, right? The one bad thing I will call out here is, though, that the conversation he had with Big T was at a very deep personal level.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually really disappointed that he hasn't had that conversation with her yet to say, listen, I know I called you out in the game. I know I got close to you in the game and then, used you or whatever. But I just want to say that conversation we had, it may not feel like it was real, but it was real. Like, just to be able to have that conversation and say, I'm sorry if you feel like I used that conversation as a part of my strategy. And I'm a bit disappointed he hasn't had that conversation with her.
The thing is, last episode, he came out and told them. He goes, it's all fake. Like, including that conversation. Like, he said, I've been using you for information. He didn't put a
He didn't call that conversation out, though. He didn't
No, he just said the whole relationship, though. He he said the whole thing. The whole time, I've been using you. And in Big T's head, it includes that, right? And in his head, I don't think it did. He wasn't faking it in the moment. No one does. No one is that pure evil to just be using a moment like that to
it had buried him with that.
Yeah,
it had buried him.
So I don't think he did it necessarily on purpose, but I don't think he separated it in his own. Like, he said what he said, and that's done, and it's included in there. So someone mentioned before that people don't know what the word snake is. Cory, it applies to this season. Like, he's sitting with Melissa going, I know we had our issues. I want to get past it. I really want to be able to do work, blah, blah, blah. And then at the challenge, he's like, I can't wait for Melissa to go in. Like, there's not even like any second in between. He's like, I want Melissa to go in. Melissa has to go in. Melissa, like freaking Katura and Bruce, when he literally just said to her, yeah, like, I think we should be able to get over it, blah, blah, blah. Yes, Cory is a snake, man. He's like living up to that big time.
Have you been watching Red is Not a Flavor, the YouTube channel? Have you heard of that one before? Where they
No,
do.
no,
So for anybody who doesn't know, sorry, I just got to clear my throat. For anybody who doesn't know, the YouTube channel called Red is Not a Flavor, I watch it weekly. It's a great YouTube channel. You should definitely go check it out. Subscribe to it. It's got very short clips where they do. He does like funny clips on what happened in the last episode. And every time they talk about Cory, he's got this little sort of section on there that's like, I'm a snake. You know, every time he talks about Cory, I'm a snake. So it comes up every single time they talk about Cory. So I think it's hilarious. It's a great channel. I support them. Everybody should go support them. Such a funny channel. Yes, Lena, I agree. But anyway, so with Cory, it definitely applies. Chris says, I love TV villains, but there is just something about Cory L. He's not a villain for show. He is just nasty. And I think a lot of this comes from...
I wonder if that's what it is. It just feels too real, doesn't it?
Yeah. I don't mind it in the game, but it's like, I feel like there's a lot of things going on because I am absolutely like this at the moment. Like, I'm not checking any social media. I'm not, because I just don't have time outside of watching the shows, working, doing my workouts, which has been going great. I'm trying to get into a Spartan race early next year, maybe March, April, go compete in Sydney. We'll definitely catch up. I'll go to Picton.
Nice.
So my training's going well, but with my training, my work schedule, and then doing all of this stuff, I don't have time to look into social media stuff. So I know there's a whole lot of beef going on online that I'm not aware of. So we're purely commenting on what we're seeing on the show. From my perspective, at least. I know you do a little bit of extra research here and there on podcasts and things like that.
Yeah, where I can, but I've not paid attention to the social media. So my basis for Cory is purely the show at the moment, and I do think he's being a dick.
This is what I'm saying, Bad Baby. It's like I've gotten to the point where if someone's annoying me, I'm kind of like, bring the bastard back so I can see someone going at him. Like
Chris
the last thing I want,
feel something, anything.
I want to feel something.
Feel something, yeah.
Yeah, like I don't want to watch a show full of Casey's with their nannies out there, right? Like if it's like everybody's lovey-dovey, everybody doesn't want to get into the beef, no one wants to create some drama. Like you can even bring a Suf, like even a Suf being cringy in the confessionals
is something.
It's still funny to see him like commit to it. Like he's committed to those cringy lines that he's giving, and I'm like, yeah, I can see why production is giving us so much of a Suf because he's giving us something, like even though it's cringy, like it's there. So I just want to feel it. That's the
thing that annoys me about Cory is that he was one of my potential winner picks. I was like, I think he's got what it takes. Like he seems to have all the tools there. He's smart. He's vicious. He seems very physical. He's a large dude, but he is not winning friends. And the social aspect is still always very important in this game.
Bad Baby gets it. Exactly. Like we need someone to root against viciously. Lena says, I think this is part of the reason, but I have feelings it is him also. So anything that we've missed, anything you wanted to bring up from this episode? I feel like we did get into quite a lot. If there's anything in the live people want to talk about, let us know.
We hopped and skipped, but we got everything, I think.
Yeah, and to be honest, I actually quite enjoy that format where we're just talking about things organically as they come up and have a conversation. I do think Big T, it's her going through the season, ultimately finding a lot of confidence in herself, beating a champion, winning another elimination. That was good to see. She was at the point a couple of seasons ago, Kahuna, where she wanted to retire. She was over the show. She didn't have fun on it anymore. I do feel like this has ignited that passion in her again because she said afterwards, "You'll see me again. I will."
Yeah, that was great.
Which was great to see.
Yeah. See, the thing with Big T's retirement, which I always appreciated, is she wasn't saying like I'm done with she did say I'm done with it, but it was for a purpose. She wanted to go to culinary school. She was training to be a chef, and she did her course. She's done her class. It's not like she dropped out to come back on the show. She's finished it, and now that she did what she did and what she wanted to do, she can come back on the show. I like that. It's not like she's coming back desperate for money. If she's coming back because she failed at whatever she did what she wanted to do. I took time off to study. I studied, and now I'm back on the show. And she wants to use the money to start a restaurant or to actually be a chef, which is kind of cool. Like I like that. She did her study. She's got a course, and she's using the challenge to help her get there.
We're getting conflicting chats coming up here in the live. Elise is saying Cory was on the official challenge podcast and he was remorseful for what he did to Big T and Melissa and said he was trying to burn the bridge with them to appease his alliance. And then Lena says,
but he burnt the bridge with buckets of petrol and like he's just pouring all the gas, everything. He's like, oh, I really want to burn that. Like, dude, you burnt down the city. Like it wasn't a bridge. Like you, you went too far.
He doesn't do anything. He doesn't do anything half-assed. Lena said, but at least a few weeks ago on another podcast, he was unapologetic about how he treated Big T. I feel like it probably comes down to the way that the question is phrased. Like, as a human being, do you feel bad about what happened between you and Big T and Melissa? Yes, I feel bad because I don't wish them harm outside of the game. And in another podcast, they might ask, do you feel like the move was a good move? And he might say, yeah, totally don't. Like, I totally love the move. I would have done it again. It was the right thing to do. So it depends on how the questions were phrased, which I don't know.
There's also timing, though. If that was a few weeks ago and he's saying he's not remorseful, then there's been a few weeks of online backlash to his behaviors on the show. And now he's like, I really regret it because the whole internet hates me right now. You know, there could be a timing factor in there as well.
Yeah, you should monetize that hate. You know, definitely should monetize it while it's there. Lina says, do you think he is truly remorseful or has response from viewers moved him to have a change of heart? It's just what you said. Elise said, really, Lina, I guess he's trying to save face. Then we've got JGS3MM saying, hopefully we'll get that Cory L asked for in the beginning of an ep. They were talking about what champ they want, and Cory said CT. That would be a massive fight because I will say one thing, man. Cory is no punk physically. Like physically, he's a big boy. So if you put him against CT on a physical thing, I think people underestimate the fact that he's probably got 10, 12 years on CT and he's quite strong. I don't want to say CT can't do it because CT's got all that experience, but it would be a very interesting elimination to see in any case. I'm here for it.
You know what I realized when I was watching the episode with Cory and how he's had this very strong villain arc? I was sitting there and it just like a epiphany in 1 second. I was like, holy crap, this guy's show that he was on before the challenge was like 12 Dates of Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm like, how is this the villain of the show? Like, he's not from a Big Brother or Survivor where there's strategy and tactics and backstabbing. He's from 12 Dates of Christmas, and he comes on this show and like takes a shit on everyone. He's like being the villain. He's a snake. So weird.
Is he the best crossover from a romantic TV show onto the challenge, possibly?
I mean, we got Tori Deal and Devon.
Right, true. Right? Are you the one?
Yeah.
I've never watched that, so that's why. Yeah. No, it's hard to compete. Sudani says Casey gave Big T 5,000 because she felt so bad about sending her home. Really dope of her to do that. Yeah, that is awesome. And again, shows a lot about Casey's character outside of the game and why people love her as much as they do. And also, Casey knows Big T is getting that call back, right? So you got to do what you got to do to get the big money down the line. Look at it as an investment into your future game. Chris also says Cory L is not remorseful. He has been carrying on with this on Twitter, just talking himself further down the hole. That's not good. Lena saying, no, that's not how it was worded. Listen to Challenge Mania. Okay. Elise says, I don't see Cory on Challenge Mania. I listen to them in iHeart every week, and it's not there.
There's on the official
Cam is from... Yeah, okay, well, here we go. Cam is from Are You the One, and she is better than Tori and Devon. Show her some respect.
Chris.
Killer Cam.
I mean, one of them is a champion. Two of them are champions. One of them's not.
Yeah, but Cam's the people's champ. Let's be honest. Cam's the people's champ, and that counts for something as well. I just want to see Cam come back. You know, I want her to stop popping up kids.
All-Stars, right?
Just don't. Cam, can you please just put a hold on your personal life and just please come back for the fans and play the challenge? No, I'm very happy for Cam and for Leroy and the family that they're building outside of the game. It just sucks that it probably means that it's going to be a while before we see Cam. And I don't know if Cam will want to come back after this as well, like, because it's going to be quite a few years.
She did All-Stars, though.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, the one that's in the can that should have come out like 8 months ago or whatever. She's on that with Leroy.
Like, hopefully All Stars drops like Feb or March or something. Next year.
Yeah,
I feel like it has to be the next one on, otherwise fans will riot. Bad Baby saying the burial of Cory by production with the throwback convo edit was lethal. I do agree. Asia saying, I know that's right, Chris. Willie says Cam is better than Nelson too.
Everyone's better than Nelson.
Yeah. Yeah, Kahuna, not a big fan of Nelson and Cory, if you didn't know. He's not a Young Bucks fan. Unless you're a fan of Hunter. I've never asked you that.
No.
Do you like Hunter?
He's not a Young Bucks fan. He's the worst of the three. Cory's the best one.
And that tells you a lot with the beef, like there's Kahuna's put out, for those who don't know, he's put out a challenge to take Cory on in a hall brawl. Cory has yet to accept.
I can say that confidently because it will never happen.
Chris says
Keyboard warrior.
Cam would be a champion, but she got pregnant. Her and Leroy would beat Tori and Devin and Ride or Dies. I think her and Leroy would be a very strong team. Elise says everyone is better than Nelson. Lena says, I just checked Elise. It was November 5th episode for that one. But
there you go.
We have gotten to the end of this recap. Thank you, everybody on the live, for taking part of the conversation. It's always a lot of fun doing these live. We'll see how next week goes in regards to if we can do it live or not. But moving forward, Survivor is going to finish very shortly. And then when Survivor finishes, this will be the normal time slot for recaps for the challenge for the rest of the season.
24 episodes? Is it 24 episodes this season?
Yeah. So we're going to be around
2025.
Yeah, we're gonna be around for a little bit. But thank you, everybody. It's been great having you here. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can be informed when we go live. And obviously, with subscriptions, it does help the growth and credibility of this channel on YouTube. But for now, that's it. Good evening, everybody in the US. Wherever you are, have a great day, and talk to you next time. Bye.